Hola, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Almost Weekly with Keisha now. I've got pimples. I haven't had pimples like this in, oh my god, years. I don't know what happened. I don't know what I'm eating. Probably a little too stressed out. And my forehead broke out. And it looks like someone burned me, honestly. Anyways, and I even tried those pimple patches, and that's what it did. It made me look like my skin got burned. Obviously, what's in those I do not like. My body's like, this is great, but ow. Anyways, you don't need to know any more about my pimple stories. But I just want to come on here and update you because it's been a freaking while, and I honestly don't know why I can't bring myself to film every day and give you daily updates. I think I'm going through a lot, and I know for myself when I'm going through transitions, sharing all of the transitions isn't always a contribution to me, because I haven't sifted through. Sometimes it's great to share in the moment. Other times I'm I can't even put words together. So a couple of those things where I was talking to someone recently and they asked me, how you doing? And I was you know that feeling that you get where everything is massively important, but it's not massively important, but you feel super stressed out about every single little thing and you can't catch up, and your list is like Mary Poppins bag, it just never ends, and you feel like you're drowning. I have that sensation more or less very intensely this whole week or so. And then I remembered you're not your emotions. I remembered everything is what it appears to be. Nothing is what it appears to be. And it's a choosing in how we be with all the things that we have. And if we make everything solid and we solidify things, we make things significant, then we create these unnecessary situations and states of being for ourselves. So practicing, being in practice of moving that out of my body, literally being there, that is, I feel it here in my chest. I'm that emotion can be outside of me, that state can be outside of me, that energy can be outside of me, and now I can just ask it to just go, right? Oh, look at you again, I created you, interesting, very cool. And I clear it and I tune back into the power of me, the power of just choice and possibility. And then another thing was, I've shared, I've been doing the how to become money workbook every day, reading a couple pages of that, and that's been creating a lot of awareness as to how I speak to my creations, and changing and practicing differently how I speak, practicing being my own hype person, my own you got this, my own it's all being created for you, really actually going back to what I was doing 4 years ago, with a bit more intention currently. And then I'm on a team for a facilitator called Cassie Summers, and she has a Lust for Living event coming up at the end of the month, and I'm super excited. Next week, I'm so stoked, because just the energy of lusting back in your life and for your living just sparks that, not that there's right or wrong or good or bad, but it sparks that energy that is the antidote to whatever this fear, shame, guilt, running out of time, conundrum, complex shithole that I'm also creating. So that lust energy, that creative energy, that possibility energy is very much the requirement and tool for shifting back into that. And then there's, when it's so interesting, because when you say, this is what we're doing, 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 this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do, And then it starts to happen. And it's things that you like really are creating. There's a moment recently that's happened to us. And I'm like, oh, actual fuck, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not prepared in any sort of way, but it's okay. And then you go into like the, oh my God, I have to do, laundry list of 100,000 things to get this up and going. And then I realize it doesn't have to be 100,000 things. We can just start with like the basics and then over time build up and build out. And there are systems out there now that will help us automate some of the menial everyday tasks that need to be completed for XYZ. I'll tell you about that when it gets going. But it was that moment where you've spent months speaking to this, speaking into it, calling it in, and then it's like on your door. You get a phone call and you're like, uh-huh. You're just like, oh shit. So that's happened. But it's so good. You're just realizing like, oh, that's how powerful I am. If I just keep speaking it, it will come. So with that note, there's so many things I feel like I need to speak daily. So I really need to get back into them. But on that note of speaking in power, I just want to leave you with this notion that you are more powerful than anyone is going to tell you you are, especially those who'd like to run the world and those who'd like to control the world. You are more powerful than anyone will tell you. And it's that remembering of that power and the willingness to be with that power, because the feeling that might come up is like it's scary, but it's actually not scary. It's actually pretty fucking awesome. And it allows you to be really self-responsible, self-aware, which also can be scary because you can no longer blame things on people as easily as before or at all. But you're directly the creator of everything that we are experiencing, that you are experiencing. We're part of it all. So if you can create the really awesome shit in your life, you also can create the really crappy stuff in your life. Neither wrong or right or good or bad. We can also fuel things that other people are putting into play that we may or may not agree with. And so being aware of your thoughts, feelings, judgments, considerations, and constant attention to certain things could drive things faster if one doesn't agree with things. And also we have the power to change things. We have the power to change anything. We can ask the universe for contributions. And so I might not be making any sense. I might not be going into enough detail for this. And this is neither the time or space to go into much detail about that, because there's a dialogue that probably has to preamble that. However, I'm going to leave you with this quote. My friend Matthew Boxler said it on a Symphony of Possibilities on a Sunday, I think last week, 2 weeks ago. He asked, what truths are you using to stop you from going beyond your lies? And when we make a new truth a solidity, we eventually will create a limitation. And in using those truths in their limitation form, how are we not going beyond our lies? And then he followed up with how much of us are including and asking for the earth's energy, including the earth in our creations, including the earth in our lives, including the earth in our asks, and also receiving from the earth. And he said some other things, but I'll leave them from another day. But yeah, just leave you with those. Okay. Toodaloos, my friends. Toodaloos.